Hello and welcome to the Metapod Podcast, the Pokemon TCG podcast that revolves around the evolving meta. Hope you had an excellent Pokemon day. Sean, did you get the Illustrator promos?
I did.
Nice. Good.
Yeah.
Reminder to everyone, there was that stores were not allowed to sell the Illustrator promos.
Yes.
I had a situation here in Vegas where one store was trying to charge $50 for a set of the tournament promos, and I definitely reported them and filed a support ticket to the Pokemon Company because that's ridiculous. But
Also, I will say the box that it came in, Jake,
mhm.
there was 100 packs of the 3 promos that you get from the Illustrator contest. So even a small store, when you got a box, you get 100 sets of them. So $50 each when like every store got 100 of them seems kind of wild.
Well, I know not every store got them because I know
Okay,
there
fair.
were a couple places actually around here in Vegas because we have a lot of stores in Vegas. Some of the stores didn't get any at all.
Huh.
Just like shipment didn't come in time or whatever.
Hmm.
There's a multitude, of reasons and stuff like that. But yeah, definitely stop.
Yeah.
Don't be scumbags.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Don't be.
I thankfully was able to get some. I was working on Pokemon Day. I had a lot of events going on for sports, but a friend of mine mailed me an extra set of theirs, so
Oh,
that was very
nice.
nice
That's
of them.
cool.
Yeah, so I have the Illustrator promos. Yay!
Yeah. I got the Sylveon too and the Eevee.
I didn't get the Sylveon or Eevee. I'm
So,
so sad, but that's all right.
but those are cool. They're actually sitting in a backpack right now, so I should probably dig those out at some point.
They're
But
actually like extremely bent, like
yeah, they're
destroyed
just
in
kind of at the
Sean's
bottom of my
backpack.
bag, underneath my
Yeah,
deck
just
boxes. It's fine.
scrunched in, stuff like that. But um, I also played Pokemon this week.
Oh, okay. Would
Yeah,
you rock? What kind of deck are you
I
running these
played
days?
the I played the third place Archaludon list.
Okay.
Archaludon,
Yeah,
Archaludon.
sure.
How do you pronounce it?
I mean, I think we've said it both ways consistently. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I actually don't know. But anyways, I played that deck because I get to play Dialga V-Star and say, "Oh, it's my turn again." And I went 3-0 to start and then had a generational throw. I just needed to lose one and I lost 2 back to back and missed top cut.
Oh,
Felt pretty good if I was going to make it in a top cut, but it's mostly because I didn't know like anything about matchups or anything. I just picked
got it.
the deck up like 2 hours before the event, and I was thinking about Gardevoir. I was like, "Gosh, do I want to go first or second against Gardevoir?" Right? Because like I've played a lot of Gardevoir. I know how important going second is, right? Because
Mm,
going first, you can't use a supporter. Really hard to find TM Evo stuff like that. You're not playing Squawkabilly or anything like that in the deck. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna choose second. And then the guy played down 3 Ralts on turn 1.
Oh no.
And
Oh
he
no.
put Klefki in the active, so I couldn't use Squawkabilly. And I was like, this was a mistake. I deserved this loss. But I
Yeah.
almost got it. I almost got it. It was so close, but I noticed that the games that I won, I said whatever the V-Star power is for
Yeah.
Dialga, what is it called?
I don't know. Time,
I
space,
don't
something.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called even though but the games that I won, I said I used my V-Star power, but the games that I lost, I didn't use my V-Star power. So I feel like there's somewhat of a correlation there. So that's, but it was fun. It was nice to play some Pokemon, especially a deck like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean,
Mhm.
I'm glad you got to play some Pokemon finally, Jake.
I know, me too. I'm so busy and so tired. Like I
Yeah.
just finished up 4 baseball games in like 48 hours and I'm back home, just got off of work. I'm so tired, but the menopause goes on.
Yes, the pod goes on. Yeah,
The pod goes on.
I played some GLC, and let's
Ooh.
just say I need to update some of my decks. My psychic deck, I really do like it, but I think I need to have more draw supporters because there was a few
Mhm.
turns where like there was one game where like my only supporter for 3 turns was just what's the old support? I should remember the name. The supporter that lets you Gladion. And I'm like, if
Oh,
Gladion
look
is
at your
your
prizes?
look at your prizes and put one of them into your hand, and then you put the
Mhm.
Gladion back into your prizes. So like I played it, and then I drew a Versus Seeker, and I'm like, dang, it would have been great to be able to
Would have been nice to
versus.
get him again. Yeah.
But yeah, you know your game is going poorly if Gladion is your main supporter for a few turns.
Gladion's pretty all right. I
I
like
mean,
Gladion,
it's
but
not a bad
Historian
supporter,
Heavy
but
Ball is the clutch
oh yeah.
card in GLC because that means that I don't have to prize check or town
Well,
map. But
but like for me, the Gladion is like if you're trying to set up in GLC and you're
mhm.
not drawing a lot of cards, Gladion is like cool. Get one card out of these six. That ain't gonna do it. That ain't gonna do it.
I do still have my Waylord deck built, so I
Okay.
recommend that deck. I love
Yeah.
that deck. I will not change. I don't care how bad it is.
Jake, though, we have maybe a lighter day, just a few news stories here and there, but also some really big news that I'm sure a lot of people who listen to this pod maybe have heard about, especially those in the Discord. You know, plug
Mhm.
in the Discord there, but that'll be like sort of our main topic at the end. But what shall we start the day off with, Jake, in the news
Well,
category?
we're gonna start off with what Izmd, I don't know how to pronounce your name, I'm so sorry. In the official Metapod Discord server, posted this earlier today. The Cheetozard, I saw this on Twitter and thought it was really funny. There is a Cheeto, I think it's a flaming hot Cheeto.
Hmm.
It's a Cheeto shaped like Charizard, and they've got this like custom card that says Cheetozard, and it's a fun little over or not overlay, border for the actual Cheeto. It sold for 87 over $87,500. This flaming hot Cheeto that looks like Charizard. And I will say, it does look like Charizard if you haven't seen the pictures of it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I'm not it it is. We have it pulled up on the screen for the YouTube viewers, but it was at Golden Auction. So if you Google
Mhm.
Cheetozard, I'm sure it will come up.
You'll find it.
Yeah. And it's I gotta give it to them. This do be looking like Charizard.
Like, even if it's not, like, exactly like Charizard, it is actually incredible what this Cheeto looks like. It is definitely something there, and they, $87,500, they got shipping only for 20 bucks.
Dang.
Yeah,
I hope they ship it better than some TCG player orders ship though. Cause that
I
Cheeto's
know.
fragile.
I j I just wanted to do a small shout out for this because this was posted on our Discord, and this made me laugh a lot, but it also reminded me of when the Oreos came out, the Pokemon Oreos, and the Mew was selling for, like, over $100. Do you remember that?
I remember the Oreos. I don't specifically remember the Mew
Yeah, like, when it
being.
first came out, like, day 1 it was first released, the Oreo Mew was selling for, like, over $100, and I remember eating one. I made
You're like,
a I made a funny little video of, like, "I pulled the Oreo." Ate it.
um,
Uh,
I
it's a
will
good
say,
time.
Jake, it's interesting to see though that Pokemon culture community has reached the same level of hype and reverence as the Catholic Church. Because we have here,
What?
think about it, Jake. You probably heard the stories like, oh, I saw the Virgin Mary on this piece of toast. I saw Jesus on this stain on my wall. It appeared to me. Do you know of these things, Jake?
No, you're
So
like, what are you talking about?
well, so like, okay, so there is a thing. I'm sure some listeners know what I'm talking about, but I don't know. There's like, I think a term for it within the Catholic Church, or maybe several type, maybe the Orthodox as well. But there's a term for like when somebody discovers an object that resembles what people think, the Virgin Mary or Jesus or whatever looks like. And so like people have done this where like, oh, this piece of toast, it looks like, Jesus's face on the toast. And then, there's news stories and they sell it for a bunch of money and yeah. So I'm just saying Pokemon has reached that level now. We have
Okay.
Cheetozard. It's the
Yeah,
same. It's the same.
I'll save my comments on that for another day.
I I
It's
am
kinda
excited to hear the comments in our Discord about that one.
it it's kinda crazy though, because Pokemon is definitely in another hype bubble right? This is
Mhm.
a whole conversation that we won't get too far into today, but is something that can be saved for another day or a different show
Mhm.
or whatever. But Pokemon is very much like in the bubble again, like it was like when COVID first started.
Yep.
With like pricing and people going for packs and influencers and stuff like that going crazy. And this just feels like it adds to it, right?
Yeah.
$87,000. Imagine opening a bag of chips and looking at the chip and being like, "You know what? I'm gonna turn this for a profit." That is
Imagine
an incredible that person deserves the money, whoever thought of that.
imagine seeing the chip and not immediately just telling your friends and then eating it, because
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I
Yep, that's what I would have done.
I'm gonna start looking at all my Cheetos now.
But outside of that, more wacky news story, we did get some other news as part of Pokemon Day and Nintendo Direct.
Mhm,
Um, the main thing, if you play Pocket, you probably have already seen it and opened the packs and all that jazz. But a new Pokemon TCG Pocket set released, Triumphant Light, which is going to
mhm.
feature it. Not going to it. It features some Arceus cards. It also features some new evolutions in Pocket, like Leafeon and Glaceon. Um, and then just
Garchomp's big in there too,
yep,
you
Garchomp's
know?
big in there. It's one of those like small sets, like Mythical Island was. So it's not one
Mhm.
of like the quote unquote main sets. Only one pack, I believe. But just continuing as well the trend of gorgeous alternate arts.
Yeah, just cards that I wish were freaking real, dude. Like, there's a Houndoom in
hmm
the set, and the Houndoom in the regular card in the set just looks incredible, but the illustration rare, like, alternate
Yeah.
art of the Houndoom, oh my god, in there. It looks so good. I will say, I also first pack opening up this set, pulled the immersion in there of the Arceus, so just wanna applaud
Oh
myself real
dang.
quick on
Oh
that, so,
dang.
yeah. But yeah, if you're into Pocket, it's a new set come out. Also, the rares, they've started this new thing where the rares now have this, like, new hollow pattern in a
hmm
sense on them in the area for our audio only listeners, the area with the text and stuff like that. They've got like a new hollow of like the set logo basically on the card. It's very nice. If you have Pocket, open up some of the packs. It looks really cool. I thought it was like reverse hollow at first,
hmm
but it's just on the hollows, and I think it's a neat little addition that they've started including. They've started like adjusting, new rarities in a sense and messing with new hollow foils, which I think is good for the big fans of the game. For me, it doesn't really matter. I just open up my packs when it notifies me, but
Yeah.
I still play Pocket a little bit.
Yeah, I've sort of just fallen off. I might have said that before on the pod, but I don't know.
Mhm.
Just it stopped appealing to me. I guess if I open up enough packs where I just hit nothing, I just kind of eventually feel like I don't need to check in on this anymore.
Yeah, I
But
totally get that.
I mean, I will also say though that sort of feeling of like not being particularly satisfied with playing a card game like this. I don't know if you saw Tricky Jim's latest video, Jake.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah.
But yeah, Andrew Mahone, he talked about how he was switching from playing PTCG Live or really any online client as part of his content to doing solo IRL, cardboard in hand streams and content. And I was like, yeah, I totally understand that vibe. That's something that I basically did years back. I was like, I enjoy this is my hobby because I like the physical cards and I like to be with people. Um,
Mhm.
not to knock anybody who enjoys playing live, like that's great, but like I do. It's interesting to see people in the community sort of having that same feeling, and maybe the player bases of those things sort of slowly starting to separate.
Yeah, and I mean, it makes a lot of sense for him, Brand, as well, because this is definitely a tangent that we've gone on
Mm,
that was unplanned, but it makes sense for him because Full Grip Games, the card store that he essentially is partnered with, and it creates content with. They opened up a new location, and he just built in there like it's definitely multi-thousand dollar. It's way more than
Yeah.
that, but multi-thousand-dollar studio in there where he can, do, and he streams all like his local tournaments. Like, I've watched a couple days in a row of like standard tournament of GLC, cube stuff or whatever, draft or something like that. So it makes sense for a guy like him to just say, you know what, I have this outlet of IRL cards. Now I'm not going to play PTCG Live. Because
Yeah.
although we didn't, I may have mentioned it on the podcast, but and I don't know if this has been fixed. I pulled up Trust Your Pilot's Twitter account and haven't seen him say that it's been fixed or anything like that. But all of the like energy acceleration, all the energy accelerators were broken. So Gardevoir was broken, Archaludon was broken, Palkia was broken, and then after like an emergency patch, Charizard EX became broken. Um so it's if you want to play a meta deck right now and not break the game, you play like Dragapult, and that's or
Gross.
Goldango,
Awful.
and that's pretty much it. So
Ugh.
yeah, I can understand the sentiment of people being tired of it right now, and especially for him. It makes way more sense with him.
Yeah.
Um,
As a
but
creator,
there's
especially.
yeah, as a creator, and there's nothing wrong if you like playing live and you enjoy playing live and you frequently play live because, we all have our reasons and stuff like that, and it is a way it might be your only way to practice, right? So,
Yeah.
I totally get it. But yeah, I don't have any interest of playing live
Yeah.
in as of late.
Yeah, the Metapod, you know, crew is all paper, baby. We're
Well, I
that's
mean,
where we're at right now, at least.
I'm I'm fortunate enough to be able to go to locals any
Yeah.
day of the week that I want to here in Las Vegas. If I was still living in Kentucky,
Yeah.
where I can't go to a locals every single game and I have to drive 45 minutes to an hour to Lexington or Louisville or something to play, then that's a little different. Then I'd probably play live more. But it's definitely you can jump off of live much easier if you're a big city person
Yeah.
or a place that has locals a lot.
Jake, next news story though, it's an exciting one, but also one that I think has a lot of people like a little frustrated, like given the state of the hype cycle of Pokemon. What's next on our agenda?
Prismatic Evolutions has a new image reveal for products, the Super Premium Collection, right? Not a surprise. The Super Premium Collection has happened many times, and we've talked about it many times through its different iterations. Now coming in Prismatic Evolutions. Obviously, Prismatic Evolutions is the theme, and it's kind of the same deal as before. Um, you
15
get, or
packs?
actually, no, you don't get packs in this.
No, you get 15 packs.
Oh, you do get 15? Oh,
Yeah.
it does have that. Okay, so anyways, it comes with 15 Prismatic Evolutions booster packs, which is what I was looking for at first, but didn't see and why I was so surprised. But it comes with those packs. It comes with an EVEX promo, the Fruit Dessert EX promo, which I think was this given out on live during EUIC? What was the promo given out during EUIC?
I
It
am
was an
not
EVEX,
sure.
wasn't it?
I am not sure. I don't know.
But anyways, you'll get this EVEX fruit dessert promo on there. You also get a fuzzy deck box of Eevee, which Sean, you have the Pikachu one,
I
right?
do. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
I
and
love it.
you've talked about it on the pod and how you actually like it. So that's something you might want to look out for if you're an Eevee person. You also get 65 card sleeves of Eevee and all of the evolutions on there. Looks very pretty. And also a play mat of that same thing, basically that same art, just kind of expanded a bit, and then a code card as well. So it's going to retail for $90 on May 16th.
I'm just
If you can
laughing
get
at
it
that
for
price.
90, Because even though we're not really covering it, GameStop is now selling Pokemon products over MSRP. I think we talked about that last week, actually.
Yeah, and I'll say to
Or
that,
no, we talked about they're stopping pre-orders, but
we
this week came out that they're selling new products over MSRP.
I think you mentioned the over MSRP, but I will say this. I think somebody I have no idea the person, and this isn't meant to be super calling anybody out, but somebody did mention that, like, well, LGS sell things over MSRP as well. And I'm like,
Mhm.
yes, but LGS is not a national chain that can get the product at a better rate than your local game store can. Like, you know,
Yeah.
generally speaking, your local game store is going to pay more from the distributor than GameStop will. And GameStop will also have, at least on a national scale, a much bigger allocation than any
Yeah.
local game store will. So I do think that, like, sure, there's some similarity. GameStop would love to have you think that their stores are like local game stores, but they're not, you know?
I just will continue to say don't go to GameStop for cards. But like we have talked about with these premium collections in the past, if you maybe you're super interested in the EV deck box, or maybe you just want the sleeves, or
Yeah.
maybe you just want the playmat, go online after it releases. People will be selling these items separately, right? Not sealed together in there because a lot of people are just going to go for the packs, right?
Yeah.
And then they don't want anything else that's in there. So I did it with, I can't remember which premium collection it was, but I have a premium collection playmat that I got for like 15 bucks
Yeah.
on eBay, so this one might be a little bit more than 15 bucks because it has all the evolutions on it, but you get what I mean, where like if you're just looking for the specific thing, you don't need the packs. Maybe you just want the EV promo. Maybe you just want the deck box or something. Go on eBay afterwards, and you'll be able to find it pretty easily.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great recommendation because, yeah, Prismatic Evolutions, I'm not looking to overpay to, have the pull rate experience that
Mhm.
everyone's likely been having. So yeah, I'm definitely going to pick up the EV deck box though, um,
Yeah,
on
you're
its
a big
own.
fan of those fuzzy ones.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I got the Pikachu one, but I also bought some custom ones that are like I have a Gengar, a Sylveon, a Tony Chopper deck box.
Oh, you have a Tony Chopper?
Yeah,
One
it's
Piece mentioned in the
yeah,
Metapod
just a little
in
One
0
Piece
days.
drop. But yeah, I've got an Umbreon as well. I'm like looking back at my
Hmm,
shelves, but yeah, so I've got a few that I bought because I love the idea of it. So yeah.
nice. But yeah, again, that'll come out May 16th for $90 at MSRP at least. Good luck getting it at that.
Speaking of a couple more products that are going to be releasing on May 16th, that
Mhm.
you might be able to find these at MSRP because they don't contain packs.
Yes.
And
Thank God.
this, yeah, these are the rival battle decks. So it seems, Jake, for those who, have been following along with all the various products, we had league battle decks from Pokemon for the last 3 or 4, like 3 years at least, something like that.
Yeah.
Um, but it seems like for this upcoming set, maybe, or maybe this will be further into the future.
The,
But
like, Journey Together, Destined
yeah,
Rivals era.
exactly. They're like sort of doing a soft rebrand to just call them a rival battle deck because they're
Mhm.
going to release two of them. And in theory, these two gym leaders are rivals of each other in some form. But we are getting the Marnie rival battle deck as well
Mhm.
as the Steven rival battle deck. Jake, what should people expect in the Marnie deck?
Now, if you've heard about these, before I get into the
Right.
Marnie deck, these are actually, like, I think pretty much identical to the ones that came out in Japan,
Hmm.
which is pretty surprising that if you follow like Japanese products and stuff, and maybe you want the illustration rares that are coming in these kind of teaser for what you can find in these. If you just want the illustration rare from these, you can get them in Japanese. The deck's already released, so you can get them. Like I have a place over here that sells Japanese cards and products when they release, so they already have theirs. So But anyways, on May 16th for $15 each, you can get these decks in here. They each come with an illustration rare, just a single illustration rare. The Marnie one having a Marnie's Morpeko, and then the Stevens one having a Stevens Beldam. So these are beautiful illustration rares, in my opinion. And then, as typical with most of the other products, they come with set of energies. They come with a deck box, which I don't think sleeves up 60 sleeve cards, but it does a 60 unsleeved deck. A coin as well of the trainer that is on the box. And in these decks, we already know the actual deck lists in there. There's some pretty cool stuff in there, like a 3 Buddy Poffins, right? 4 Resurge, 2 Boss, 2 Iono, Rare Candy, because both of these decks are stage 2 decks as well, including in here because these are level 2 play decks, right? They have 2 EXs in there. The Steven deck having a Stevens Metagross, 2 of them, and then the uh Marnie having 2 Marnie's Grimmsnarl EX. So very, very cool. I think we were wondering how we were going to get these Grimmsnarl and Metagross EX cards. And so really nice to see, in my opinion, again, these starter decks, these beginner decks, league battle, rival battle, all that stuff. I will say some of the best products that Pokemon produces, going to be really, really cool.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see because a lot of the league battle decks that they printed in the past are usually
Mhm.
they usually feature Pokemon and cards and a deck archetype that has been successful already in tournaments.
Yeah.
And so like, Charizard or Palkia, whatever deck it may have been, it had already seen success. So the team that built the deck was able to like know that like, oh, this is kind of competitive. So I will be interested to see how competitive or not these are compared to the
Mhm.
traditional league battle deck. Because yeah, I'm just, who knows, right? Like we don't know. I don't even think these decks are. I don't know. I don't even know if they're out in
I don't
Japan
think
yet.
Well, I mean, the decks are out in Japan, but I don't think
Okay,
we have like the Champions League that happened the other week.
yeah,
I don't think like it wasn't part of it.
got it.
We do know that the illustration rares will be promos exclusive to the decks. So if
Oh,
you're someone like me that collects a lot of the illustration rares, and also collects a lot of Pokemon promos and stuff, might be tough getting these, but you'll have a fair amount of people, right, that are more competitive that just want to get the EXs, right, in there and don't really care too much about the promo. Will just sell the promo. So hopefully, the promos, especially these two, because these two look gorgeous. I love the trainer promos. All the ones that we've seen so far look so good, for the illustration rares and the alternate arts and stuff, including there was the Cynthia's Garchomp that was revealed. Did you see that online?
I didn't. I don't believe so. This one, I have like a Cynthia's Garchomp. Yeah,
Yeah,
330
there's a
HP
Cynthia's
EX.
Yeah, Cynthia's Garchomp, the alternate art is insane. Might be the, best Cynthia alternate art in my opinion, which is tough because the Hidden
Interesting.
Fates one is real good.
Well, that's very interesting.
Mhm.
Anyways, run random note before we move to the last topic. I do wonder what the GLC official ruling is going to be on trainers Pokemon. Um, because
What do you mean?
the name is different, right? Stevens Beldam is different than Beldam,
Oh,
right?
yeah, I think they would probably. I mean, I don't have any official ruling on this, but this is how I think it would work. I would think that they would just do like, because the Stevens Beldam, the Stevens is like lower, right? It's like Hisuian. Uh
But there are cards that reference specifically Stevens cards,
yeah.
you
I
know?
wonder if it'll go. What's the ruling on like Hisuian Samurott or Hisuian Decidueye?
I think
Can
they're
you
different Pokemon.
they're
I
okay.
think they're
I wonder.
considered
I don't
unique.
I don't know what it is because they usually have different typings, so that's a
Yeah.
good question to have.
And
But
this it's
I
the
would
same thing with Alolan, right? So I guess it's not that
yeah.
new. Yeah.
I would assume that it'll probably be that, you just have one. Beldum in there, especially because it's not a regional variant. It is still a metal type Beldum, right?
Mhm.
You can't have just a regular metal type Beldum and then a Stevens Beldum. It's got to be one or the other.
I
That's
don't
my
know.
guess.
I would guess that you can have both only because
I kind of hope that
I
they don't.
well, the reason I'd say you maybe can is because I don't think Matang, regular Matang, can
Mhm.
evolve from Steven's Beldum. I don't think it can because
What
it can
does the
only evolve
Stevens
from Matang.
Metagross say?
Steven's Metagross evolves from Steven's Matang.
Oh, interesting. Well, maybe you can then,
It's
actually.
weird, right?
Yeah, maybe. Oh, maybe you're right. That's a cool little call out.
I don't know. I mean, I guess it makes sense, right? And it may just be that most of these cards are just not good in GLC anyway, so it's kind of a moot
Hmm.
point. But still,
Yeah.
I was thinking about that and I'm like, oh, that'd be kind of fun. Um anyways, Jake, what is our last news story? This was the big breaking news for Nintendo Direct. What is that news, Jake?
First of all, it was Pokemon Presents,
What you
Sean,
you know
not a
what I mean.
Nintendo Direct
Yeah, that's
for
fair.
Pokemon Day.
Yeah, for the day of
I
Pokemon.
so there was a bit of Pokemon TCG news that was very exciting. And as a lot of people predicted in the Pokemon Presents, I don't think it's that out of left field. Pokemon showcased some of the upcoming mega evolutions that are returning to the TCG in 2025. Some of the surprising things, though, about the mega evolutions is that they are worth three prizes, which a lot of people have feelings about.
Yep.
Anyways, these mega Pokemon, we got two of them in English. We saw their English cards Mega Lucario EX and Mega Gardevoir EX. Both of them, some other notes that you can see are 300 plus HP Pokemon. So these are big, big Pokemon, just like the, stage two EXs that we see. I think are all the EXs 300 plus? Or is there
No.
an EX at 290?
The evolution
Or
EXs,
Pidgeot. Yeah, Pidgeot is 280.
Pidgeot's
Yeah,
280s, and also, the stage 1 EXs are not all
yeah,
above 300, like Revavroom EX, right? I think is like
yeah,
270.
yeah. So the Mega Lucario is 340 HP fighting type, and Mega Gardevoir is a 360 HP psychic type.
Yep. And it's I think to your point, Jake, I think the first thing that everybody is going to think about when they see these cards is,
Mhm.
especially people who've been playing the game for at least 3 years or more, is we are returning, as you said, to an era of 3 prize Pokemon.
Yep.
Um, now, at least currently, all of the 3 prize Pokemon are evolutions. So
Yes.
it is closer to the VMAX era than it is to the tag team era, which,
In a sense, yeah.
I will say for now, Mega
For now.
Rayquaza, wasn't that a basic?
Well, okay. Mega Rayquaza, technically, no.
Okay.
So, the way let's go back to 2000 what was it, 2016?
Yeah, 2016.
Something like 2015. Your basic Mega or I'm sorry, your basic Rayquaza EX could evolve into a Mega Rayquaza EX. The Mega was not a basic Pokemon. The Mega
Okay.
was a Mega. But in order you had 2 options. In order you could just straight up evolve it, right, like you do normally with Pokemon. You can Mega it, evolve it, but if you did, per the Mega Evolution rule listed on the card, when one of your Pokemon becomes a Mega Evolution Pokemon, your turn ends. You could bypass that with a Rayquaza Spirit Link. Rayquaza Spirit Link, if it's attached to the Rayquaza, it would not end your turn if you evolved a Rayquaza to a Mega Rayquaza EX with the Spirit Link. So that was kind of a thing. I think all of the Mega Pokemon prior of were Mega-ing from basic Pokemon because I think the Charizard, Venusaur, and Blastoise were all basic Blastoise EX, right? And then they Mega
Okay.
evolved into Mega Blastoise EX. But Spirit Links were a thing at that point. And now on here, there is no text currently. Cards shown in footage are under development. That's a really big thing to note that was
Yes.
shown in the Pokemon Presents. The text on the cards do not have anywhere that has some sort of mega clause, right? That says your turn ends if you don't. So if you evolve your into a Mega Lucario EX, it would not just suddenly end your turn.
Hmm.
Personally, what I think is that something has to say on the card. I don't think they'll
Yeah,
just
I
make up a
agree.
rule and hope that everybody remembers it every time. I think it's going to say on the card because, they've done that with rule boxes. They've done that with two prizers. They have on the cards the Mega Evolution EX rule, which is when one of your Mega Pokemon EX have been knocked out, your opponent takes 3 prize cards, right? So I have a pretty good gut feeling that they're not going to be, and again, cards are under development. I have a pretty good feeling that they're not going to be adding a text that say your turn ends if you
Hmm.
evolve into this Mega EX Pokemon. Personally, that's my
Yeah.
opinion. I have
No.
nothing to base it off of based on what has been shown,
So for
which are
you,
under development.
but for you, Jake, the idea that in this format, giving up an extra prize is enough of a balancing factor that
Yes.
that you think that, like, okay, this is probably what the Pokemon company wants. They want people to play with the new cards, because
Mhm.
I do think that if your turn ended in this format, you would never play Mega Evolutions right now.
No, I don't think so. If you didn't have a
Yeah.
way like a Spirit Link to bypass it, you would
Yeah.
not play Mega Evolutions.
So I agree with you that the turn ending rule does not make sense in a format where people have Devo TM. Like, because think about that too. You say you Mega Gardevoir from a Curlia, somebody, and then somebody Devolution TMs you. How awful would that feel? Right.
Yeah, that
So
would be terrible.
now that I think through, like, some of the cards that exist in format, the 3 prize rule I think is a limiting factor. There is one thing that I would, if I was the Pokemon company, do to avoid the format moving too heavily in the direction of 3 prizers. Um, and and that is having a Radiant style rule box. So with
Where you can
Radiant,
only have 1 Mega in your deck.
right, with Radiant Pokemon, you can only have 1 Radiant in your deck. With A-Specs, you can only have 1 A-Spec in your deck. I would personally prefer a format where there was only 1 in the deck, and that way it would also make the choice to Mega Evolve feel that much better, right? Like, oh wow, I'm like,
Mhm.
it creates, like, a feeling when you actually do it, the same way that when people, Dynamax or Terrastalize, that it's like, oh, this is my once a game thing. It's like, because something that we talked about in the Discord, Jake, and I only want to point this out because, like, it is truly like a problem, is someone in the Discord, might have been you actually, I think,
I did,
mentioning,
yeah.
yes, there is a turn 1 going second play where you could have a Riolu out in the active, and then you play Salvatore, and then go get Mega Lucario out of your deck, put it onto that Riolu turn 1 going second, because Salvatore allows you to evolve, and search your deck for a card that doesn't have an ability. And then for 1 energy, you can do 130 damage base and attach 3 fighting energy from your discard to your benched Pokemon in any way you like. Which, it's not that hard if you were to build your deck correctly to be like, I'll throw some Earthen Vessels in, I'll throw a Squawkabilly. My goal is to find the pieces to do this turn 1. And it would just be devastating to an opponent, I think, to have your opponent go up at probably up a prize, and have 3 energy on a benched Pokemon, all before you've been able to even play a supporter.
Yeah. 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 Also, I have huge beef with the let me get ready to say this. I have huge beef with the Mega Evolutions that they've showcased right now. Cards are still under development. I have huge beef with these megas because if you look at these cards, both Lucario EX and Gardevoir EX, you will see that their evolutions say that Mega Lucario EX is a stage 1 that evolves from Riolu,
Yeah.
and that Mega Gardevoir EX is a stage 2 that evolves from Kirlia. If you've played the video games before, you know that in order to Mega Evolve into Mega Gardevoir, you have to have a Gardevoir in order to Mega Evolve into a Mega Gardevoir. And so when you talk about that Salvatore play,
Yeah.
you don't have to have a Lucario now to get a Mega Lucario. You can just Salvatore and you can go straight up 340 HP beat stick going second, and now you've accelerated energies into play.
Yeah.
I hate this card. I hate these cards. I don't I don't like them. And cards are still under development. I'm trying my best here. Uh I think I don't know how good the Mega Lucario EX is, but I do think that like 130 going second is pretty good. How often you can get the Salvatore playoff, I don't know, because Luminion's rotating. So
Yeah.
it's theoretically a lot harder. Do you just put in a
You
lot
just
more
pull a lot of
Pokegears?
call bell.
Call Bell? Sure. You know, Callbell has seen some work in the game. It was in a top list in one of the regionals or SPEs or something like that. We talked about it on the pod
Okay,
a while
yeah.
ago. I can't remember what deck. Um, and you accelerate the energies there, and you have to do it going second. So
True.
your opponent has to they could just blow it up and then you lose 3 prizes, right? And I hope that you're able to recover from that. Um,
But I'm just thinking, Jake, like, you think to yourself, oh, well, what other decks are fast? And you think Miraidon, if this Mega Lucario deck, if it stays as it is and people build it to do this thing, Miraidon is unplayable because you're weak to fighting. You're like,
it's it's tougher because you're weak to fighting.
yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's not unplayable, but I think to myself, what does Miraidon have at its disposal today? Now, granted, this is going to
Mhm.
come out in September, most likely. So who knows? But like a current deck like Miraidon, a good deck looks at a Mega Lucario going second and goes, I can't do 340 to that anytime soon.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I will say the
I
Gardevoir, 360 HP, stage 2, has 2 attacks, one of them for a Psychic Energy. For each of your bench Pokemon, search your deck for a basic Psychic Energy, attach it to your Pokemon, and then shuffle your deck. So, you can accelerate 5 energies
yeah.
onto the field. And it synergizes really well with its second attack, which is very reminiscent of the Gardevoir EX that was so dominating in 2017
Mhm.
Worlds. Diego Casarigas. I'm sorry if I said your last name wrong. But, anyways, what he did really well with Mega Symphonia, 50 times damage. This attack does 50 damage for each psychic energy attached to all of your Pokemon. So if synergizes really, really well, and with Gardevoir EX, right, the regular one, which you can't evolve Gardevoir EX into Mega Gardevoir EX, by the way, as of right now, which is so stupid. Oh my god. But um it synergizes really well because then you can use the effect of Gardevoir EX to accelerate all these energies on the field, and your Mega Gardevoir EX is hitting an uncapped damage potential. So, one thing that I am worried about uh, these EXs specifically, is you're gonna start seeing a huge surge of OHKO decks, I think, in my opinion, because
Mhm.
Pokemon and here's how just card games work and how card game companies generally work. You want your sets to become impactful immediately, right? How many times have we talked about in the last like 2 years where a new set releases and like a new BDIF comes in,
Yeah.
right? Think about like from think about from like Eternatus, right? Your favorite card.
Mm.
Eternatus to like Lugia. Just like every single set that came out, like main set, was a new best deck. essentially. And that's like what it's weird because like card games kind of want that, right? Because that's how your set sells, right? That's how you do well in and you're in the green. So I have a good feeling that these EXs are going to be good, especially with the new ones that also release within the set, right? It would make sense. We may not know them yet, but I feel like one of them is going to be broken. And so you'll get into a format of like you play an EX deck or you play a Goldango, Chin Pao, something or other that
Yeah.
just explodes any Pokemon in front of it, with uncapped damage potential. Raichu even, Miraidon,
Well,
right? Raichu.
I will say this too, Jake, which
Oh,
is like
Raichu rotates. Never mind. But you get the point.
I will also say that they're when you introduce a two prize style format like we have now, the
Mhm.
importance of weakness is not really it doesn't necessarily drive people's deck building skills fully because, trying to tweak your deck to like take advantage of like being a toolbox deck, it can be kind of fussy, but all of a sudden, if you can build a deck that will hit 180 with like say a single prizer as a dark type to knock out a Mega Gardevoir, or if you're playing against Mega Lucario, like honestly, it makes regular Gardevoir that much better against Mega Lucario because, oh, what? I only have to do 170? So many cards in Gardevoir's toolkit can hit 170, and then
I
you just,
just talked about
yeah,
how you can just accelerate energies through Gardevoir EX, right?
right. So, like, hitting 170 to knock out a Mega Lucario for three prizes. So, I don't know. Maybe I might be talking myself back into the notion that giving up three prizes is enough of a drawback because
Mhm.
it could feel quite devastating. Um, however, I think it turns the math for most players into a 3-2-1 format, right? Like
Mhm.
if you're playing against a deck that has megas in it, your goal is probably knock out one of the megas for three, uh, knock out one of the regular EX bench sitters like Pheasantipity for two, and then
Squawk.
knock out any little Pokemon hanging around, like your Noctowls, let's say, or what have you, for that last prize. So I don't know, like it's easier said than done, but I don't know. Maybe that's Pokemon's point though. They want people to move to a 3-2-1 format rather than a 2-2-2 or whatever style format we're at nowadays.
I am full disclosure, if you haven't thought about it already, I'm not a fan of the EXs. Uh, I think the new Mega Evolution mechanic sucks. Mostly because of the evolve. I'm really just pissed off at the evolving thing. Like three prizes, whatever. I actually like the tag team era. I'm gonna say it. I actually liked it. I was fine with it, but the fact that I can Mega Evolve a Riolu into Mega Lucario EX just ticks me off. So
And look, we will see. Maybe Pokemon is trolling us all with this initial card art, and they just forgot to copy paste the correct form of the evolution.
I
But
hope so. That's a
it is
huge
weird.
screw up, though.
No,
Yeah,
it is
I will
really
say
weird.
you talked about Mega Lucario's first attack, right? Do for 1 energy, 130, and accelerate energies. They also revealed an item that boosts fighting type Pokemon's
Yeah.
attacks by 30, and you can play as many item cards as you want. So theoretically, this guy can just simply hit 160
Yeah.
right away,
Well, and also
at least.
the second attack is also not bad. Like for two fighting energy,
No,
you do 270. You throw in a couple of these premium power pros or whatever the name might be in English, and all of a sudden you're hitting 300 or 330 for
we
two
also have
energy.
the we also have the black belt karate guy that does
Right.
30 extra
Yeah.
damage, right?
Or
So
just 40, right?
or it does 40? Maybe
Yeah.
it's 40. Either way, it does more damage. So this thing is hitting like a truck because the during your next turn, this Pokemon can't use Mega Brave. Doesn't matter. Literally doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
I don't know why. I understand why they print that text, but I'm like, Pokemon. All competitive
Yeah.
players are like turning their head to you, being like, "Come on, Pokemon. You know that don't mean nothing."
But this may be cool because it's kind of been when was the last good fighting deck that we had?
It. It's been a minute. I
Like Rapid Strike Urshifu? Or
Yes,
I'm sorry,
yeah.
Single Strike Urshifu.
Or Rapid Strike too. That was really good for a while.
Yeah, like that's probably like fighting decks
We
usually
don't
don't
count
I guess
cloth.
you could count yeah, I don't count Cloth,
So,
but,
sorry out there for
um,
those of you.
is Raging Bull a dragon Pokemon? Yeah, it just uses fighting
Yeah.
energy, but it'll be cool to have, like, a actual fighting deck, in my opinion,
Yeah.
if it's good, but there's still plenty that we don't know about it, and again, the images were not final, designs and stuff like that. Nothing is final, but it is definitely if you listen to a lot of Pokemon podcasts, through last week and probably this week as well, there's going to be a lot of people talking about this and giving a lot of opinions. So I recommend listening to them
Yeah.
all.
And I'm just gonna say one more thing, Jake, especially for
Oh
Mega
yeah, yeah.
Lucario. I'm imagining a horrible world in which you're playing against it. You can't one hit KO it. They've accelerated 3 energy to their benched Riolus, 3 different ones. And then every
Hmm.
turn, it's just Professor Turo,
Yeah,
evolve, Professor Turo, evolve. And you're like, stop this nonsense. I can't.
yeah.
So,
That's why I say like if these become meta, it's like play an EX deck or play Oko deck,
yeah.
which if you don't know what Oko is, it's one hit KO, which is a huge doomsday, I admit, but I feel like that will become more frequent of a meta. Not saying that it will overtake everything that you do, but it will become more popular.
Yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
that was a big thing in the tag team era for a while, right? Like, can you one hit KO the Charizard, Reshiram and Charizard? Can you one hit KO Pikarom?
Mhm.
Because often giving them one extra turn was all it was all it took. But yeah, that's really it. That's all the news. Hopefully we'll see how close our opinions are to both what the cards actually end up being, and if they even are the big boogeyman
Mhm.
that maybe we're making them out to be.
Yeah. I
But
mean, Journey Together set review coming next week, we said,
yeah,
right? Next week, if you can find it for a decent price, it is a really, really cool set. I did secure 2 Pokemon Center ETBs, one to open, one to keep sealed, for my little seal collection. And then I have a booster box, which I'm debating on whether I want to keep it sealed or open it because Journey Together is expensive. It is not cheap,
yeah,
especially with that promo Iono that's coming in.
yeah, yeah. That'll be interesting to open those up
I
and
did see, with the pre-orders and stuff, if you're worried about price, for when the set came out in Japan, our local store that sells Japanese product, you might wanna check in with your store, on this because 'cause I'm sure some would wanna do it and some wouldn't wanna do it, but, they give you 2 options if you bought a Journey Together box. You got a box just as is, right, just ready to go, or you got it with the promo,
hmm,
or I'm sorry, you got it as is normal with the promo, or you got it without the promo, and without the promo was a discounted price, right, like a lower price. So,
interesting.
it would mean in English, I think,
You have
because
to
it
open it.
sits on top yeah, you have to open it, but if that's gonna get you, a cheaper booster box and you just wanna open packs, you just wanna have fun, you don't care, stuff like that, especially if they open it right in front of you, like, you don't care about that, then maybe you ask your, local store. They keep the promo and you get the box at a discounted price. I don't know. I
Yeah,
would look into it,
that's
you
actually a
know?
good shout. I think a lot of stores are going to want to probably like it's an easy card for them to flip maybe or like make
Yeah,
some extra
definitely
profit
an
off.
easy card to sell, yeah.
So yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah,
So
and I mean, I think with the pre-releases, they'll have promos anyways, because they for pre-release tournaments, you just open booster boxes, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Every
so
for
they're
the extra packs, they send out usually like I don't know 4 booster boxes or so.
yeah, so it's something to ask about, and again, some people might be into it, some people won't, just respect whatever they wanna do, you know?
Yep.
Mhm.
Jake, that's it. You want to sign us off?
Thank you so much for listening to the Metapod Podcast, the Pokemon podcast that revolves around the evolving meta. Sean is going to be doing a midnight pre-release stream of Journey Together at a cool new store. So make sure to check out the YouTube channel. We'll pump it up. Got to pump it pump it up in
Pump the
our
jam.
Discord and
Pump it
stuff.
up.
Yeah, it'll be in the it'll be on the YouTube channel. So make sure to go check that out. Links of everything in the show notes or description. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week.